The coffee in her mug had long gone cold, but Ava Mercer stared at it as if it held the answers to the universe. Outside her small apartment window, the relentless New York City rain blurred the lights of the buildings she once owned, or at least, the buildings where her name had been etched on the corner offices. The silence was a heavy, unfamiliar blanket. For 20 years, her life had been a symphony of ringing phones, closing deals, and the satisfying clink of champagne glasses in boardrooms high above the streets now weeping outside. Now the only sound was the distant wail of a siren and the steady, mocking drip from a leak in the kitchen faucet. It had been 18 months since the fall. Not a stumble, but a brutal public evisceration. Her own partners at Mercer & Klein, men she'd built the boutique investment firm with from a scrappy startup, men she'd considered brothers, had orchestrated it. A fabricated compliance scandal was leaked to the Wall Street Journal. A sudden vote of no confidence. Her security pass was deactivated by the time her town car dropped her off that fateful morning. They'd called it a necessary evolution. They told the press she was exhausted, her strategies outdated. Leo Thorne, with his silver fox hair and a handshake that felt like a promise, had said it to her face, his voice slick with false regret. "Ava, the market has changed. You're just not resilient enough anymore. It's time to step aside." Resilient. They thought a lifetime of battling in a man's world, of being told to smile more and talk less, of building an empire while fighting twice as hard, amounted to a lack of resilience. They'd taken her company, her reputation, her legacy. They'd frozen her assets, tied her up in lawsuits designed to drain what remained. The media, once her cheerleaders, had feasted on the carcass of her career. From tightened to toppled, one headline had blared. They painted her as a cautionary tale, a woman whose ambition had finally, inevitably, crumbled under its own weight. Weak and finished. Ava's eyes lifted from the mug, catching her reflection in the dark window. The woman staring back had shadows under her eyes, and more silver threaded through her chestnut hair than before. But the eyes themselves, a steely storm cloud gray, had not changed. They burned with a cold, quiet fire that the bankruptcy hearings and the humiliating blog posts could not extinguish. A soft chime broke the silence. Her laptop, ancient and slow, glowed on the scarred wooden table. It was an email notification. For a year, her inbox had been a graveyard of declined connections, ignored pity offers, and legal missives. This was different. The sender was an encrypted domain she didn't recognize. The subject line was a single word: Obsidian. Her finger hovered over the trackpad. It could be another trap, another twist of the knife from Leo or his weaselly lieutenant Mark Klein. But the name stirred something, a deep, almost forgotten chord. Obsidian. Black volcanic glass. Formed under immense pressure and heat. Brutally sharp. She clicked. The message was brief, no signature. "Miss Mercer, your reputation for strategic foresight and creative restructuring precedes you. We are aware of your current circumstances. We believe they are not a reflection of your capability, but of your environment. We have a proposition, a project that requires a unique perspective, one untainted by the echo chamber of Wall Street. Discretion is absolute. If intrigued, be at the following address tomorrow, 8 p.m. Come alone. Tell no one." Below was an address in Red Hook, Brooklyn, a warehouse district, industrial and forgotten. Ava leaned back. It reeked of danger, of insanity. A mysterious email from a stranger in the middle of the night. Yet, in the stale emptiness of her existence, it was the first spark she'd seen. They thought she was broken. She was merely dormant. An obsidian sounded like a weapon. The warehouse in Red Hook was a hulking silhouette against the bruised purple of the evening sky. Graffiti splashed its corrugated metal sides, and the smell of salt from the nearby docks mixed with concrete dust. Ava, dressed in simple black, felt a thrill that was alien after months of numbness. This was a move, a decision. Hers. A single, unmarked steel door swung open as she approached. Inside was not the dusty, abandoned space she expected, but a minimalist, high-tech operations center. Banks of servers hummed quietly, their LEDs blinking like constellations. Several people worked at stations, their faces illuminated by the cool glow of monitors. They were a disparate group, young, old, varied in background, but all shared an intense, focused energy. A man approached her. He was in his 50s, with a quiet, grounded presence, dressed in the practical wear of an engineer. "Miss Mercer. I'm Eris. No last name. Welcome to Obsidian." "What is this place?" Ava asked, her voice steady, her CEO demeanor sliding back on like a second skin. "A foundry," Eris said, a faint smile touching his lips. "We forge solutions. We identify systemic frailties, not for profit but for correction." He led her to a central holodesk. A 3D model of a complex financial network shimmered above it. Ava recognized it instantly. It was the underpinning of a social impact bond structure, one that was currently being lauded across headlines. Leo Thorne was its public face, championing it at galas and on financial news networks. It promised massive returns while rebuilding infrastructure in underserved communities. "The American Renewal Fund," Ava stated, her eyes scanning the flowing data streams. "Yes, praised as innovative ethical capitalism," Eris said. "Our analysis suggests it is a sophisticated predatory scheme. The returns are guaranteed by deliberately inflated projections. The underserved communities are ghost targets. The capital is being quietly funneled into a series of offshore shells, ultimately consolidating here." He zoomed in on a nexus point, a holding company based in the Cayman Islands. The majority owner was a blind trust, but Ava didn't need to see the name. The architecture of the deceit had Leo's fingerprints all over it. It was bold, elegant, and utterly ruthless. "He's using social justice as a branding exercise to loot pension funds," Ava murmured, a mixture of disgust and profound understanding dawning on her. This was Leo's masterpiece, bigger than what he'd done to her. "Precisely. It will collapse in approximately 22 months, leaving municipalities bankrupt and thousands without retirement security. The perpetrators will be insulated, their wealth secured. Our goal is not to expose it prematurely, but to re-engineer the collapse, to turn the mechanism inward." He looked at her. "We have technologists, hackers, and forensic accountants. What we lack is a master strategist who understands the beast from the inside, who knows the players, the rhythms, the unspoken rules, and who has a vested interest in seeing a particular architecture of arrogance fail." Ava met his gaze. The cold fire in her belly had found its fuel. "What is the objective?" "Not revenge," Eris said calmly. "Justice. A precise surgical justice. We want you to design the downfall, not of a person but of the entire fraudulent entity, to make it so that when it falls, it only crushes those who built it. The innocent must be shielded. The stolen capital must be returned with penalties." It was 1,000 times more satisfying than any simple comeback. It was a symphony, and they were offering her the conductor's baton. They were offering her a chance to prove that her resilience wasn't just about enduring, but about striking back with perfected, undeniable force. "I'm in," Ava said, the words feeling like the first true one she'd spoken in a year and a half. Life bifurcated. By day, Ava was the diminished former mogul, attending her court-mandated financial counseling, a figure of pity at the few industry events she forced herself to frequent. She wore the same carefully curated, slightly outdated blazers. She let her shoulders slump a little. She practiced looking defeated, and found it was the hardest role of her life. But by night, in the Red Hook warehouse, she was a general. Obsidian gave her resources that made her old firm's capabilities look quaint. She pored over the fund's architecture, her decades of experience allowing her to see the stress points, the elegant vulnerabilities. She didn't just want to pop the balloon. She wanted to redirect the exploding air into a controlled thrust. She identified a junior analyst within the fund, Maya Chan, who had been raising quiet, internal flags about the demographic data. Ava had Eris's team construct a perfect, untraceable backchannel. A scholarship fund was anonymously created for Maya's ailing mother's medical care, removing the financial pressure that kept her silent. Then, carefully crafted information began to reach Maya. Not accusations, but questions, data discrepancies that validated her concerns. They turned Maya not into a whistleblower, but into a sleeper agent of doubt, meticulously gathering her own dossier, believing she was acting alone out of conscience. Ava targeted the fund's auditor, a prestigious firm that was turning a willfully blind eye. Using a hacker known only as Cypher, she orchestrated a digital haunting. The firm's partners began to receive subtly altered versions of their own internal risk assessments on other clients, suggesting a pattern of negligence. So paranoia made them skittish. They started asking the fund more pointed, inconvenient questions, not because they'd seen the light, but because they feared their own exposure. She worked with a former derivatives wizard named Eli at Obsidian to design a financial virus. It was a series of micro-investments, algorithmic trades, and smart contracts that would lie dormant within the fund's ecosystem, attached to its offshore shell companies. On a triggered signal, they would activate, not stealing money, but systematically diverting all transaction fees, penalty clauses, and interest accruals away from the Cayman Islands holding company and into a locked, encrypted network of escrow accounts. It would starve the beast of its oxygen, the operational cash flow that kept the illusion alive. The plan, which the team code-named Folding City, was not about a loud bomb, but about a silent, gradual torsion. They would increase the internal friction, amplify the doubts, strain the relationships, and finally trigger a liquidity seizure that would look, from the outside, like a spectacular case of mismanagement and bad luck. The stolen capital would remain trapped, ready to be repatriated. Months bled into a year. The fund, under Leo's triumphant leadership, continued to soar. He was featured on the cover of Forbes, hailed as a visionary. At a charity gala for the arts, Ava made sure to attend. She wore a rented gown, her posture carefully softened. Leo spotted her across the room. A shark smile spread across his face. He excused himself from a circle of admirers and made his way over, Mark Klein hovering at his shoulder like a remora. "Ava," Leo said, his voice dripping with a magnanimous pity that made her skin crawl. "So good to see you out and about. You're looking well." "Thank you, Leo. You seem prosperous." "The fund is changing lives," he said, spreading his hands. "It's a shame things didn't work out differently for you. The game just got faster, you know? Requires a certain agility." He glanced at Mark, who smirked. Ava took a sip of water, letting the insult hang in the air. She looked at him, really looked at him, at the smug certainty in his eyes, the absolute lack of remorse. It was the final piece of confirmation she needed. The last flicker of sentiment died. "Agility is important," Ava agreed, her voice quiet. "But stability is what keeps things standing when the wind changes. You should remember that." Leo's smile faltered for a nanosecond, replaced by a flicker of annoyance. He'd expected cowering gratitude for his attention. He got icy ambiguity. Always the philosopher. "Well, take care of yourself, Ava. Don't be a stranger." He moved away, already forgetting her. Mark Klein lingered for a second, leaning in. "Really, Ava, if you need a reference for a smaller firm, maybe in the Midwest, let me know." His breath smelled of expensive gin. Ava simply looked at him, her gray eyes flat and cold. She said nothing. Her silence was so complete, so absolute, that Mark's smirk died. He blinked, unnerved, and scurried after Leo. That night at the warehouse, Ava gave the final go-ahead. Initiate Phase 3. Fold the city. The unraveling began not with a scream, but with a whisper. Maya Chun, her dossier now concrete and terrifying, resigned from the fund and delivered her materials not to the complicit board but to a tenacious state attorney general who was up for re-election and hungry for a legacy-making case. The story broke, but it was complex, financial. It didn't immediately explode. Then the auditor, spooked by the attorney general's inquiry and its own internal demons, publicly withdrew its opinion on the fund's financials, citing inconsistencies in provided data. The stock of the fund's publicly traded management company twitched. Leo went on CNBC, all calm assurance and wounded pride. "This is a coordinated attack by short sellers and entrenched interests who don't want to see this model succeed," he declared, his jaw set. But the doubt was seated. A week later, Ava triggered the financial virus. The automated systems Eli had built woke up. Fees meant to flow to the offshore shells hit digital walls and bounced into the Obsidian-controlled escrow. It was a small amount at first, but it was constant, like a slow bleed. The fund's CFO started getting panic calls from Cayman. Where was the monthly accrual? Why were the transaction ledgers showing deficits? Leo and Mark scrambled. They tried to move capital from other pockets to plug the holes, but every transfer seemed to encounter glitches, delays, and unexpected regulatory flags. courtesy of ciphers' deep access to their communication networks. The internal friction became chaos. Lawyers were called. Angry, hushed calls were made between partners who started accusing each other of siphoning money. The Attorney General, emboldened by the mounting evidence, filed suit and obtained emergency injunctions, freezing the fund's domestic assets. It was the final twist of the knife. The fund, a giant running on confidence and cash flow, seized up. It couldn't meet its obligations. The narrative in the media shifted from visionary to Ponzi scheme. The collapse, when the public finally understood it, was swift and spectacular. Headlines now read, "Renewal Fund revealed as House of Cards," and "Thorne's Empire in Ashes." Investors screamed for blood. Leo Thorne and Mark Klein were perp-walked out of their glass tower by federal agents, their tailored suits looking absurd under the glare of camera flashes. Their faces, pale with shock and fury, were on every screen. Ava watched it from the quiet of the Obsidian warehouse, Eris standing beside her. There was no cheering, just a profound, solemn silence. On the screen, a reporter shoved a microphone toward Leo. "Mr. Thorne, do you have any comment? What happened?" Leo, his eyes wild, looked directly into the camera, and for a fleeting second, Ava felt a jolt as if he could see her. "This wasn't an accident," he snarled, his voice breaking. "This was a takedown. A malicious, surgical takedown." The reporter blinked. "By whom?" Leo opened his mouth, but no name came out. Who could he name? The junior analyst? The skittish auditor? The anonymous algorithms? The ghost in the machine? He had no enemy he could point to, only the chilling sense that his own creation had been turned against him with a precision he could barely comprehend. He closed his mouth, defeated, and was pushed into the waiting car. Eris turned to Ava. "The escrow accounts are holding strong. The Attorney General's office will receive an anonymous, cryptographically verified packet tomorrow, detailing the location of all diverted funds, with a legal framework for their return to the municipal investors. The perpetrator's personal assets, however, are gone. The justice is imperfect, but it is justice." Ava nodded. She felt empty but clean. The cold fire had burned down to embers, satisfied. Weeks later, the news cycle had moved on. The returned funds were making headlines, a rare story of restitution. Ava Mercer's name was not part of it. She was in a new sun-drenched loft in Tribeca, not as grand as her old penthouse, but hers. The space was filled with light and the quiet hum of a city moving on. A package arrived with no return address. Inside was a simple, polished piece of black obsidian, sharp and gleaming. Attached was a card with a single handwritten line. "The strongest glass is forged in the deepest fire." She placed the stone on her desk, a paperweight for the new chapters yet to be written. Her phone rang. It was a headhunter, one who had ghosted her a year ago. "Ava, so great to catch you. Listen, with all this turmoil in the market, your name came up. People are remembering your steady hand. There's a turnaround situation. Needs a leader with grit and experience." Ava listened, a slow smile touching her lips. She looked out at the New York skyline, no longer a taunt but a panorama of possibility. They had thought she was weak and finished. They had been so very, very wrong. Her revenge was not a shout in the ruins. It was the quiet, unshakable foundation of everything she would build next. And it was stronger than ever. Hey everyone! If you felt the chill of satisfaction watching a meticulously planned justice unfold, then you understand that true strength isn't about the loudest roar, but the sharpest cut. This was a story about a quiet storm. If you want more tales of calculated comebacks, of hidden strength, and secrets forged in fire, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. The next chapter is always just beginning. Until next time.